December 1872. In the middle of the Atlantic, sailors spotted a ship drifting strangely across the waves. Her sails were raised, yet no one stood on deck. No voices answered their calls. When they climbed aboard, they found supplies, cargo, and personal belongings. But the captain, his wife, their young daughter, and every member of the crew were gone. The ship was the Mary Celeste. The Mary Celeste had left New York on November 7, 1872, bound for Genoa, Italy. Captain Benjamin Briggs was an experienced sailor. Traveling with him were his wife Sarah, their 2-year-old daughter Sophia, and 7 crewmen. The ship carried more than 1,700 barrels of industrial alcohol. Nothing about the voyage suggested that it would become one of history's greatest maritime mysteries. For more than 2 weeks, the voyage appeared normal. Then came the final entry in the ship's log. On November 25, the Mary Celeste was near the Azores, hundreds of miles west of Portugal. There was no desperate warning, no description of an attack, no final message from the captain. After that entry, the written record stopped. 10 days later, another ship would find the Mary Celeste alone. On December 5th, the crew of the Dei Gratia noticed a ship moving strangely across the Atlantic. Captain David Morehouse watched it through his spyglass. The vessel was sailing erratically and seemed to be out of control. As they came closer, something became obvious. No one was standing at the wheel. No sailors were working the deck. The ship appeared to be completely abandoned. A small boarding party crossed the water to investigate. As they climbed onto the Mary Celeste, they expected to find injured sailors, or perhaps bodies. Instead, they found silence. The ship was wet and disordered, but it was still seaworthy. There was food aboard. Much of the cargo remained in place. Personal belongings had been left behind, yet there was not a single person anywhere on the vessel. Then the sailors noticed what was missing. The Mary Celeste's lifeboat was gone. Some navigation instruments were also absent. This suggested something crucial. The 10 people aboard may not have been taken by surprise. They may have deliberately abandoned the ship. But why would an experienced captain order his family and crew into a small boat in the middle of the Atlantic? Investigators later discovered another important detail. 9 barrels in the cargo hold were empty. The barrels were made from porous red oak, which could allow alcohol vapor to escape. One theory suggests that fumes accumulated below deck, frightening the captain with the possibility of an explosion. Briggs may have ordered everyone into the lifeboat temporarily, expecting to return once the danger had passed. If the evacuation theory is correct, the decision may have been fatal. The lifeboat could have remained attached to the Mary Celeste by a rope. A sudden gust, a large wave, or a change in wind could have snapped that line. The ship would sail away without them. The people in the lifeboat would be left behind, surrounded by hundreds of miles of open ocean, with almost no chance of catching her again. It is a convincing explanation, but it remains only a theory. No lifeboat was ever recovered. No confirmed remains of the missing passengers or crew were found, and no final message explained their decision. Over the decades, stories of piracy, murder, sea monsters, and supernatural forces surrounded the Mary Celeste, but none solved the mystery. The 10 people who left the ship simply vanished. Nearly 50 years later, another abandoned ship appeared off the American coast. In January 1921, the 5-masted schooner Carroll A. Deering was found stranded on Diamond Shoals near Cape Hatteras, North Carolina. Her sails were still set. Food had apparently been prepared, but the lifeboats were missing, important papers were gone, and once again, the entire crew had disappeared. Days before the Deering was found, a lighthouse keeper had seen the schooner passing nearby. A man on deck reported that the ship had lost its anchors and asked for the message to be relayed. The keeper noticed something odd. The man did not appear to be the captain. Later, witnesses also described unusual behavior aboard the vessel. Investigators began to wonder whether something had happened between the officers and crew. The disappearance triggered a major investigation. Mutiny was considered. So was piracy. Authorities examined reports of suspicious ships operating along the coast. Even organized crime and foreign involvement entered the speculation, but evidence for the dramatic theories never materialized. Whatever happened aboard the Deering, the the crew had apparently left the vessel. What happened to them afterward remains unknown. Then, in 2007, the mystery happened again, this time in a world of radios, aircraft, GPS, and modern rescue services. 3 experienced men left Airlie Beach, Australia, aboard a 12-meter catamaran named Kaz II. 3 days later, the yacht was spotted drifting near the Great Barrier Reef. A rescue team boarded her. The 3 men were nowhere to be found. What rescuers found made the case even stranger. The engine was running. A laptop was still switched on. Personal belongings remained aboard. Food and other items suggested the men had not planned to abandon the yacht. The emergency equipment was still there. Unlike a mystery from the 19th century, investigators now had modern evidence, and that evidence pointed toward a sudden accident. Investigators developed a likely scenario. One man may have fallen overboard while trying to deal with the problem on the yacht. A second could have entered the water to help him. The third may then have attempted a rescue. With the catamaran still moving under sail and engine power, all 3 could have been separated from the vessel within seconds. The yacht continued without them. This is the detail that makes ghost ships possible. A vessel does not always stop when its crew disappears. With sails set, favorable wind, or an engine still engaged, it may continue for miles. Currents can carry an abandoned vessel for days, weeks, or even longer. By the time someone finds it, the people who once stood on its deck may be far behind, leaving only the illusion that they vanished from a perfectly normal ship. But facts rarely remain untouched. A mysterious disappearance becomes a newspaper story. The story becomes a legend. Details are added, repeated, and eventually remembered as evidence. A meal is said to have been left warm. A clock supposedly stopped at the exact moment of disaster. Strange objects appear in later retellings. Decades afterward, separating the original investigation from the mythology becomes part of the mystery itself. Perhaps there is nothing supernatural about a ghost ship. The ocean needs no ghosts to create mysteries. A single mistake, a sudden wave, a broken rope, or one desperate decision can separate people from their vessel forever. The ship survives because wood, steel, wind, and current do not know that its crew is gone. And sometimes, years later, we find the ship, but never learn exactly what happened to the people who left it. If you enjoy real mysteries, unexplained cases, and hidden stories from history, subscribe to Hidden Files. The next story may be even stranger.